Hey, it's the first wine review of 2021. 2020 is behind us, and my search for the best Washington State or even Pacific Northwest Chardonnay continues. Do I find it today? Well, let's find out. We're going to go ahead and talk about Ashan Cellars, made by Gorman Winery out of Woodinville, Washington. Stay tuned. Hey, you've tuned into the Rookie Wine and Whiskey Enthusiast channel, YouTube's primary channel for discussing Pacific Northwest wines and spirits, but not exclusively. If you already have it, please go ahead at the end of the video. If you like this content, please hit the like button. Also, if you do like this content, you want to see more of it, best way to help support the channel is to go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And when you do hit the subscribe button, make sure you hit the little bell icon right there, and a little selection is going to come up. It's going to say all or personalized, and there's one more. Make sure you select all on that. That way, when I do upload content like this, discussing the Pacific Northwest fabulous wines and spirits, you are notified. So let's go ahead and jump right in. I have been, for the last several years, looking for really a very good balance between the standard Pacific Northwest Chardonnay, which tends to be very fruit forward, very crisp, very clean, and that California butter bomb, which can be just overwhelming. And I'll be honest with you, the closest thing that I've been able to find is Brown Cellars Chardonnay. And I'll go ahead and post a link to the review for that. But at the very end of December, my wife and I decided to go spirits tasting up in Woodinville. Went to a Woodinville Whiskey, went to JP Trud, went to the Puget Sound Rum Company right there. And while we were up at JP Trud's distillery, right next door was Gorman Winery. Now, this is a winery my wife and I have been really dying to get a look at, but they didn't have any outdoor seating at the time because everybody's under these COVID rules. But we've heard a lot of good things. Now, I'm going to go ahead and read off here real fast, if I can go ahead and pull it up. There we go. All right. Home and about. Gorman Winery, really unique individual. He's pretty much been involved in the wine industry since he left college in 1991. The head winemaker is Chris Gorman. I'm just going to read his bio here on his website. With 26 years in the wine industry, 16 of those in wine production and experience around the world, rubbing shoulders with the finest wine professionals, Chris is well equipped to have the keys to super premium Washington wine. Gorman Winery for almost 10 years. He was the only employee. He still focuses closely on high-quality fruit and oak in small production, wearing many hats on the sales, marketing, and event sides of the business. Wine Spectator named him one of the 10 rising stars in American winemaking in 2008. So when we were up there, they were really only open for basically wine club members, but we did get a chance to, because they were just dead because of COVID. One of their assistants did bring out a glass, and I was telling him, because I really like a nice, balanced Chardonnay where there's some oak, there's some creaminess to it, with still a very prominent fruit note. And I told him that, really, the only thing I've come close to in the Pacific Northwest is the Brown family Chardonnay. And he went ahead and went above and beyond and poured me a small sample of this. Their Chardonnay, and I did not realize this, is so well known that they decided to make their own Chardonnay club. So if you are a Chardonnay person, I'll put a link down in the description down below, linking to their website. They actually have their own Chardonnay club. I'm seriously considering it. So, anyways, This comes in at 14.6%. And by the way, the back of the label, and I'll put a picture of the back of the label right here briefly. Lots of information, which is the amateur wine geek in me really loves. So let's go ahead and read. This is the 2008 Chardonnay from the Cold Creek Vineyards, which is owned, by the way, from Chateau Saint Michel. That vineyard is particularly owned by Chateau Saint Michel. Barrel fermented using native yeast. Hold on a second here. Unfortunately, as you get older, and I'm going to take these back off here, but I can't read very well from the wording here. Age 17 months with weekly battenage every 6 months. Cooperage is 100% new French oak. Terrazon pure tea. Winemaker Chris Gorman. 900 bottles of this Chardonnay were produced. AVA, Columbia Valley. The vineyard location is in Sunnyside. Prominent geology. Silt, loam, and gravel. Elevations at 1,100 feet. Again, it's owned by Chateau Saint Michel, this particular vineyard. Vineyard management, vine spacing, vines per acre, exposure to slope slightly south facing, 5 degrees, year planted, 1992. Rootstock, original rootstock. The geek, if you are a geek, this is the type of information you want. I would love to see more winemakers add this. Please add this type of information to the back of your label. A lot less fluff, more information. Makes wine drinking, to be honest with you, a little bit more fun. So let's go ahead, take a look at the color on this. This is a medium straw, almost a pale yellow. It's riding that fine line right in between. On the nose, right off the bat, I'm getting some melon, a floral honeysuckle note, a yellow apple, maybe even almost a Fuji apple. But there's a creaminess, there's an underlying creaminess that you can smell, that you can detect on the nose. And there's also a little bit of earthiness to it. Almost like a kind of a light chalk. Let's go ahead and have a sip. By the way, this is clear. There is no articles in it whatsoever. So obviously it's been filtered. Right off the bat, this is a medium to medium plus bodied Chardonnay. There's a rich creaminess, almost like a liquid creme brulee note that takes over, followed right behind with all that fruit that I mentioned before on the nose. Very melon forward. The apple is slightly muted. Oh, here, let me go ahead and take my glasses off here, because I know that my new lighting probably is reflecting on a little bit of that. But that crispiness, there's that slight chalk note I'm getting on the finish, but there's that oakiness, that vanilla, that creme brulee. This, this is a very good wine. Let's go ahead. The body on this one, I said medium, medium plus. Tannins on this is a very low tannic wine. Almost medium. It's almost medium minus to almost non-existent. Acidity, there is a little bit of tartness to this. Now, typically when I get tartness for the acidity, I do tend to get some citrus notes. I'm not getting a whole lot of citrus, if at all. Any citrus oil or anything like that. Alcohol, again, this is at 14.6%. So this is one of those wines where with a higher alcohol content, for as creamy as it is, you have to be really careful. Sweetness, this is a dry wine. It's not off dry, but it's not also bone dry either. So there is a slight fruit sweetness to it, but just barely. Balanced, this is a really good balanced wine, I think, with all the fruit flavors. The only downside to this wine is that the finish, I would say, is just between that short and medium length. The finish on this pretty goes away relatively quickly, I think, which is shocking considering how oily and how rich the creaminess is. I was kind of hoping that it lingers a little bit. Let's go ahead. Yeah, that is just a really rich, creamy Chardonnay. I'm seriously considering becoming just the Chardonnay Club member for this. This wine reminds me, um, this does come very close to that balance where you have that California butter bomb type of heavily oaked Chardonnay that turns so many people off from Chardonnay. Then you have that Chablis, that French style, where you taste the oak, but then you've got the Australian Chardonnay that tends to be a little bit more minerally. This, I think, does a very good job of not presenting as your typical Washington State Chardonnay, but this rides a very fine line, I think, and he's done a beautiful job of it, of riding in between the French Chablis and the California Butter Bomb. So, anyways, if you like this content, please go ahead and like, subscribe, and share. Have you had Ashan Cellars or Gorman Winery's wines, particularly this Chardonnay? Tell me what you think down below. Is there another Pacific Northwest Chardonnay that meets those criteria that I'm looking for, that you think I've missed, or is there something that I missed on this particular wine? Please leave those comments down below. I do try to respond as fast as I can. I do have a full-time job as a truck driver, so it does kind of tend to, and YouTube has been acting kind of funny the last 3 or 4 months. Sometimes it doesn't notify me, sometimes it does. So anyways, folks, 2021, let's look forward to a good year of drinking good wine, good spirits. And as always, please drink responsibly. Life is too short for either bad wine or bad whiskey. This is a wonderful job. Chris Gorman, thank you very much. Looking forward to actually, when things open up again, going up there and enjoying the full spectrum of wines that you produce. Cheers. Thankfully, my wife doesn't like buttery wines. I may have this bottle all by myself.